independence. Your transformation was incredible, to say the least.
I did grow my own hair out, but just to accentuate it, I had like a half wig.
I'm Chief Meteorologist T.J. Shuck, along with meteorologist Dylan Goday and meteorologist Jordan Smith here at ABC 36 Weather. I want to update you on the severe thunderstorms and a few tornado warnings that we've got, ironically, in our northern and southeastern Kentucky. First one here, this is for Harlan and parts of Letcher County. This severe thunderstorm warning inside, and then of course you got the tornado warning that extends all the way up. It is literally right over Harlan as we speak. So with our skit marker here, some of the communities impacted as we're about 7:25 here within the next 10 minutes. Leatherwood, Cumberland at 7:41, Lynch at 7:43, Carr Creek at 7:50, and up toward Whitesburg in Letcher County, our BTI, Barron Tornado Index, that is at about a 4.8, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. This is the same cell that did produce some damage back across parts of northern Tennessee there in Campbell County. Had some pretty decent damage. So we'll zoom in a little bit closer to this. Again, there is the shear marker, and taking a look at the velocity data here. And again, this thing's been producing some fairly large hail. So Baxter, Clovertown, Harlan proper, the hail core is off to your north. And all of this is moving off to the northeast, but looking at the velocity signature, it's kind of underneath the shear marker here. We are seeing a little bit of shear. In fact, you can see it there. There's some moderate shear, but enough to where it has prompted this tornado warning. So if you're in Harlan or up the road here, across parts of Letcher County, you definitely want to be in a safe place. There's Cumberland, and of course there's Whitesburg, so it's going to be a little while, but eventually it will head up your way. I do want to give you kind of the bird's eye view here of everything going on, because across northern Kentucky, we got a severe thunderstorm warning down here for parts of Pulaski County, Whitley County, and just south of London. This does include Corbin. Let's take you to northern Kentucky first. I'm going to zoom in on this cell behind the banner here, and then we'll switch the radar over to Wilmington. Again, pretty intense cell. This is the cell that produced the tornado back in Newcastle in Henry County. So let me switch over to Wilmington's radar, give you a little better view of it. And you see this really kind of bowing out here, Ripley, which is essentially across the river from Maysville, just down from Augusta there in Bracken County. So the tornado warning is for eastern Bracken County, and also there just Maysville, and then up the river into the northern part of Mason County. So looking at the velocity data here, you can see that circulation. It is fairly tight. Now the skits data isn't picking up, at least the algorithm isn't, but zooming in a little bit closer here. Again, here's Maysville down here behind the banner, if we can lose that just for a second. Right here is where the circulation is, and again, right on cue, there's the skits data, which is going to head over into southern Ohio. Again, Aberdeen is directly across the river from Maysville, but what I want to point out is, look at the BTI, it is up to 6.7. So this is going to skip the river and head over into southern Ohio, but it is clipping the northern part of Mason County just off to the northeast of Maysville there. So something to keep in mind. Now let's go back. Again, I'm going to kind of broaden things out again, and we're going to take you back to southern Kentucky and keep an eye on that cell down in Harlan County. I'm going to switch over the velocity here. We'll actually go to, I want to clear that off as well, or at least I did. Oh, here's a way to do it, right over here. So I think so. We'll get rid of that. No, we don't. we don't want to look ahead to the 7-day here. Hang on one second. We'll get this.
Throw up. You can throw up links too.
Throw up links too real quick. And
yeah, there we go. So there's that tornado warning for Harlan and Letcher counties. Again, it's through 8 o'clock this evening. You can see that shear marker where we are seeing some rotation. It just moved over top of Harlan itself, the city of Harlan there at the moment. So if you're in Harlan County, it's moving off towards the east-northeast as well.
All right, let's switch back to the other source. Apologies there. The buttons can get a little punchy there. Thanks for the bailout, Dylan. All right, again, cross parts of Harlan and into Letcher County here. You see the shear marker. Again, we'll zoom in a little bit closer and hit the skids data once again. Give you some ETAs on this. Picking up some decent rotation where you see the pink. That's where we've got some hail. So Cumberland at about 7:45 up toward Lynch. That's going to be at 7:48. Jeremiah at 7:54, and in about 26 minutes, it's eventually going to slide up toward.
This girl hurt you so much. Are you sure you want to see her again?
Well, if I may, he has so little self-respect and is so desperate for the smallest crumb of affection, she could literally sleep with his own father in his own bed and post the video to YouTube, and he'd still buy her flowers and ask her to be his bride.
He's right. But in my defense, if we could survive that, we could survive anything.
Well, if you're sure you want to do this, it's only coffee. Just relax and see what happens.
Can I say she looks nice?
Sure.
Can I tell her I miss her?
Maybe, if she asks.
Can I show an oil painting I made of us surrounded by children and grandchildren?
I'd save that for the second date.
Good. Because no matter how hard I try, I cannot get the twins to look alike.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just trying to find a stupid next of kin to this stupid video store owner so I can return the DVD and see the look on Sheldon's stupid face.
Top of Harlan itself, the city of Harlan there at the moment. So if you're in Harlan County, it's moving off towards the east-northeast as well.
All right, let's switch back to the other source. Apologies there. The buttons can get a little punchy there. Thanks for the bailout, Dylan. All right, again, cross parts of Harlan and into Letcher County here. You see the shear marker. Again, we'll zoom in a little bit closer and hit the skids data once again. Give you some ETAs on this. Picking up some decent rotation where you see the pink. That's where we've got some hail. So Cumberland at about 7:45 up toward Lynch. That's going to be at 7:48. Jeremiah at 7:54, and in about 26 minutes, it's eventually going to slide up toward Cumberland. Now the BTI is about a 4.8, so it's on the lower end, and the hail is down to 3/4 of an inch, about a 40% chance of seeing some large hail out of this, but nevertheless, you definitely want to watch out for that because the potential is there for some large hail. Speaking of, let's take a look at the hail potential.
We just got a video, meteorologist Jordan Smith just got a video of hail falling. It looks pea-size, you'd say, so maybe not in the hail core there, but hail coming down at a pretty good clip in Harlan County.
Well, and it makes sense because you see here with the hail tracker, here's the scale, possible to probable to likely. That's when you get in the black and the white, and you can kind of see that there, Wallens Creek, just on the north side of Harlan. So probably some fairly decent sized hailstones, and we've still got that circulation across that area just to the east of Harlan right now. Still looking at about a 7:56, 7:57 arrival as far as the potential tornado up toward Cumberland and also Whitesburg there in Letcher County. But it's over Harlan County, back to the radar data here, and then we'll kind of broaden things out just a touch here. Again, this was a cell that moved out of northern Tennessee, and it did create some damage. It kind of cycled a little bit. It was strong, it dropped the tornado, and then as it moved through parts of Bell County, it weakened slightly, but then it looked much better on radar here, and that's what's prompted the tornado warning. Doing a head over here to the west, I mentioned the London, Corbin area and Somerset. You see a pretty strong thunderstorm here. We've got that severe thunderstorm warning for McCreary County until 7:45, for Whitley County until 7:45, and for Laurel County until 7:45. Now, London proper is not in this, but the south side, and eventually it's going to move in. But it is literally impacting Corbin as we speak. As far as any kind of rotation in that, there might be some broad rotation with it. Remember, radar's at the ground, the beam, the farther it gets away from the radar, which is up here in Jackson, the higher in the storm it is taking a look at things. And again, I think just off to the southwest of Corbin, probably a little bit of elevated rotation. As far as our shear tracker, a little bit there, nothing off the charts by any stretch. And the hail potential, not seeing, again, a lot of hail with that cell. But if you're in Corbin and London and running down I-75 north of Williamsburg there in Whitley County, torrential rain, again, could see some high water issues in some of the low-lying areas. But this right now, severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado warning farther to the east and southeast. So we'll get back to that cell. Again, that one up into northern Kentucky, that one has skipped over the river and into southern Ohio. So this cell
is interesting with this cell, which I want to mention that the hail core is basically going right up US 119, so right through the valley there in Harlan County. So that hail core, to give you a good example where it could be right now, going right up through the valley there in Harlan County, right along US 119.
Yeah, and where you see the darker shading there, right here, and get the radar, or at least the that off of there. I'll show you with the telestrator. Right here in this area right here, where you see that darker shading, that's where the hail core is, and where we're probably looking at some larger hailstones. So definitely something to keep in mind there. Let's see if we can hit the skits data again. See if we can catch that. I'm going to have to broaden back out here because it's being blocked by the shear marker. There we go. It moved off to the side. Let's see what we're talking about as far as hail. So you see the hail, again, it's about 60%. It's dropped off a little bit, but as Dylan mentioned, there's definitely the potential of seeing some larger hail because it's had a fairly healthy hail core here. So at 7:35, got about 10 minutes before it gets up here into Cumberland. Lynch at 7:57, still looking at about 5 till 8 roughly for Whitesburg, and then Fleming Neon right at the top of the hour. Then eventually it'll head up toward Jenkins and possibly up toward Wheelwright after the top of the hour here.
And just wanted to give an update as well, that tornado warning that you were tracking in the Mason County, north of Maysville, that is now prompted a confirmed tornado
over into southern Ohio,
into the Ripley area of southern Ohio.
Well, and if you recall, the BTI on that was nearing a 7, so that's actually not surprising in any capacity. But taking a look at the hail here, as Dylan mentioned, going back to the west, I mean, you can see this thing has had a history of dropping some decent hail. And as you get back toward Wallens Creek and west of Harlan, where you see the darker shading here, that's where we had probably the larger hailstones, and eventually it's lightened up, I think, relative to the hail just a little bit here. So back to the radar data here, and little appendage here right around Everett's. Again, that's where the possible rotation is. Velocity data You can see a little bit of the greens and the reds going opposite directions. Same thing with the storm relative velocity. So anywhere in eastern, northeastern Harlan County, and then running over into Letcher County, we've got that ongoing tornado warning. What's that go till until 8?
8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 o'clock, top of the hour. Switch back over to the radar. And again, we've still got a ways to go here in the bluegrass before we are done with this, because the front has yet to move through. But I'm going to broaden things out here and take a look at the entire area. So here's what we've got. The tornado warning across southeastern Kentucky there, Harlan and Letcher counties, Corbin, north of Williamsburg, just to the south, really the southwest side of London, severe thunderstorm warning there. And then you notice several areas of some pretty strong thunderstorms. Nothing in the way of warnings with these. Lexington's kind of doing the old squeeze play here, where it's south of us, Richmond, and then stretching down through parts of Boyle County, eastern Marion County, east of Lebanon, and then some additional storms firing up towards Sadieville, and then running back to the southwest. And as Dylan mentioned, you can see the blinking box there in Ripley.
If you want to take links to, we do have a traffic camera overlooking the Ohio River and the Ohio River Bridge there on US 68.
He's got it up. So this is looking across the river from Maysville over to Aberdeen, and what you're seeing on the left side is probably where that confirmed tornado is located, because Ripley is just up the river, and this thing was going to cross the river just to the west and northwest of Maysville and then skip across.
Yeah, and you can almost see the wall cloud.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you look there on the left, that definitely is kind of blocked by the hills. But I'm sure if we had a clear view, you'd definitely be able to see it. So good catch there with the traffic cam. And again, you see the blinking confirmed purple polygon there. Again, that is up into southern Ohio and out of Mason County, but close call there. But checking things here, we'll take a look here in the bluegrass before we go back and revisit things. Again, here in the metro, we got some heavier rain, basically out Nicholasville Road, northern Jessamine County, where that area right there, if you're familiar with it, the industrial park, which is across from Sam's Club, not far from Brandon Crossing, is that squall line of storms moved through this morning. The Weather Service has been doing site surveys in the area and had a confirmed tornado with winds of 110 miles per hour in EF1. So we'll have more information on that a little bit later on. Looking back here toward Shelbyville, south of Shelbyville there, over Spencer County, probably a bit of hail with that particular cell, and then stretching from Danville, south of Perryville, and well to the north of Liberty. Pretty intense cell, and then still have the severe thunderstorm warning as we kind of work our way. And now farther to the east, of course, we're still going to continue to track again the tornado warning that we've got here in Harlan County, which it's going to be out of Harlan County here fairly shortly. So getting everything squared up. We've got two markers. We have the severe marker in red, and then we have the shear marker in orange. And that's where the algorithm is picking up on the possible rotation. So Cumberland coming up here in about 8 minutes, and then eventually toward Lynch at 7:51. Whitesburg, you're still just before the top of the hour, and then points farther to the northeast up toward Fleming Neon. Pound, which is over in southwest Virginia. Jenkins right there on the border, and of course Wheelwright up toward the upper right-hand part of your screen. As far as the data is concerned, the BTI there, it's at about a 4.7, so it's not overly strong, but of course enough rotation. There is the potential of seeing maybe upwards of some quarter-sized hail with this as it continues to move off to the east-northeast at a fairly rapid pace. You guys got anything else? I know you've been
just watching that storm, moving over the Ohio River. The storm there in the northern Kentucky, Maysville area, is almost riding right along the river. Surprised this camera is still sending us images as well, because it's right where that warning is.
We can go back and revisit in a second, but one thing you'll notice, look at here, right where the shear marker is, or the skit marker is. You see a little bit of an appendage just off to the east-northeast of Everett, and it's going to, again, make a beeline. We've been mentioning Cumberland there into eastern Harlan County. That's going to be heading your direction here shortly, probably within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So again, if you're in eastern Harlan County or in Letcher County up toward Whitesburg, again, Cumberland, Lynch, Whitesburg, you're in the path of this, and this has had a history of producing a tornado back in northern Tennessee in Campbell County there, in between La Follette and Jellicoe, that area. It did weaken a little bit as it moved into Bell County. North side of it has a bit of a hail core, which has lessened a bit, but nevertheless, that's just something to keep an eye on here. So they're going to head back and kind of broaden things out here, look at the big picture, and actually take you back up here, since we've been watching that cell that's been essentially riding the river here. Let me kind of zoom in, and
it's a little more broken now on our traffic camera into that area. It's not as well defined potentially either. There's a look at that.
Yeah, it doesn't look as ominous, even though it still looks pretty ominous as it did with that tornado, confirmed tornado that has skipped over the river across into southern Ohio. I'm going to switch the radar, since this is obviously Jackson's, and we need to have Wilmington's on here, and then we'll have a little better view of where it is. So there's the parent cell, and obviously the velocity is going to really kind of tell the tale here. That's pretty definitive right here in this area, where you have the green and the red, and it's moving off to the northeast here. West Union, again, which is well into southern Ohio. That's where the circulation is. Here's the Ohio River. That's as you get into extreme northwestern Lewis County, but it does look like the trajectory of that's going to keep it, again, just off to the north of any of our Kentucky counties, but did want to take a look at it, since, as Dylan mentioned, it was a fairly close call in that area. And then we'll jump back out here and give you another bird's eye view of everything going on. So again, at this, at this point, one of those cases where, like I said, we're kind of doing the old squeeze play in Lexington here. Here's a little better look using the Jackson radar. We've got some storms here on the southwest side of Lexington. A lot of lightning strikes here west of Moorhead, southwest of Campbellsville. The ongoing severe thunderstorm warning really for the southern part of Laurel County, northern part of Whitley County. Williamsburg, you're not in it, and actually it looks like that warning has just been allowed to expire. It went until 7:45, and they have not reissued it. But really, the main game in town, the one that we've been keeping an eye on here for the last little while, is down here again into far eastern Harlan and up into Letcher County. You see our shear marker. There's Cumberland, there's Whitesburg, and this is going to continue to just ride the Kentucky-Virginia border right through the mountains there and produce some large hail, and there is the potential of seeing possible tornado there in that area. It looks like maybe shifting off to the east a little bit more as opposed to east-northeast. Cumberland 750, that's here in less than 5 minutes. Lynch at 7:52, that is. Whitesburg still coming up here at the top of the hour. So again, kind of the leading edge of the rainfall is going to be moving into your area here fairly shortly. But then where that possible circulation is, that's going to be coming your way.
We did get
that little bit of an appendage there as well.
2 damage reports out of. They just also extended, they continued the tornado warning for Harlan, Letcher, and now Perry counties, but also just wanted to say 2 damage reports out of McCreary County, both right around 7:15 of power lines down along the 800 block of Kentucky 700, and then along US 27 as well. Power lines down there in McCreary County.
Yeah, and we were watching that storm as it kind of moved across that area. So that, you know, that's going to be the trick for the rest of the evening until we get these storms and the frontal system out of here. There will be the threat for severe weather, even if your particular area has seen a little bit of activity here. And I think this thing's probably just clipping maybe just a little small, maybe a small sliver of Perry County.
Yeah, it was just included, but yeah, you're right. It's the very small subdivision.
Yeah, because everywhere I'm clicking around, it's showing Letcher County here. So I think we're obviously Harlan, you're basically in the clear. It's about over Cumberland, and then it's going to be heading up toward Whitesburg here. And that'll be coming up at the top of the hour. Again, I know a lot of folks watch us in Whitesburg. We're on cable there, so this storm is headed your way, and we definitely want to keep an eye on it and keep you posted.
Yeah, the official wording from the National Weather Service office in Jackson, this is from 7:46 Eastern. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Cumberland, over 14 miles southwest of Whitesburg, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. And important to note, the hail size has gone down a little bit now to quarter size as opposed to ping pong ball size hail, where it was at around 15 to 20 minutes.
Well, and actually our data, the SCITS data, was good at picking that up. It had about 3/4 inch hail. All right, this is really zoomed in here, and again, using the telestrator, where you see the green and the red side by side here, that's where you've got your potential rotation. The green is going toward the radar, which is off to the northwest there in Jackson, and the red is going away from the radar. So you get those side by side here in this area, and that's when you can see, and that's where we are seeing that possible rotation. So it's about on top of Cumberland, as Dylan was mentioning here. And again, there's your SCITS data. It's 4.8 on the BTI, the tornado index. The hail threat with it, as Dylan mentioned, has gone down. So we're looking at about half-inch hail, 50% shot at hail with it. Again, Cumberland, it's on top of you right now. Lynch at 7:52, coming up 8 o'clock here in about 10 minutes. It's eventually going to run up toward Whitesburg. So it's showing some rotation for sure, and you can see it here, and you can also hear the rain here in Lexington as we have that going on as well. So
some of the ham radio operators in Harlan County reporting no severe weather as of yet into their locations. The 10 amateur ham radio operators, so no damage reports yet out of Harlan County with this storm.
All right, well, that's good news. Of course, it's still showing the pink here on the other side of our shear marker here, indicating that's probably where that hail core is. And again, it looks like it's maybe shifting a little bit more to the east-northeast as opposed to being northeast. So this thing may eventually sneak over, and probably will, into parts of southwest Virginia. But right on top of Cumberland right now, Lynch, you may catch the edge of this. And as far as the hail is concerned, did it again. Let's go back. As far as the hail is concerned, again, that's was a little bit more significant a little while ago.
Also looks like I just want to point out a little bit of rotation potentially northeast of Corbin. There's no warning out there right now, but looking at some of the velocity, it looks like there's your SCITS here, and let's zoom in on that. And there we just had a shear marker pop up as well.
Yeah. I'm going to clear that, and we will.
Also, it's worth noting that the storm just south of Campbellsville is showing some rotation too. So
okay, we'll take a look at that.
Watching that one as
we'll take a look at that one here in a second. All right, so there's Corbin. It's to your east. There is London. So you're roughly looking at exit 29 there on Interstate 75, 38 and 41 up toward London. But the area of concern, the possible rotation, probably some hail in there as well. that is literally on the northeast side of Corbin. So some of the areas that may be impacted by this, remember, there is not a severe thunderstorm warning out right now, but again, the algorithm is picking up on some with our shear marker. Gray 753, it's essentially on top of you right now, over toward Bush Elementary there into the east of London, that is, and then up toward Manchester, 815 roughly, Clay County High School, which is obviously just north of Manchester there in Clay County. The BTIs on the lower end at 3.5. Got about a 40% chance of some severe hail, so probably some maybe dime-sized hail out of this. So this one definitely bears watching. I'll take a look at the velocity data and any potential rotation in this thing. Right now, looking at it, doesn't look to be overly strong, although when we look at the storm relative, you can definitely see probably a little bit of elevated rotation, and of course that's one of the reasons the shear marker is showing up, because the algorithm is picking up on that.
And the tornado watch that was in effect through 8 o'clock for southeastern Kentucky has now been extended through 2 a.m. for southeast Kentucky.
So southeast Kentucky is going to hang on to that. I'm sure they're expecting what's going on out across parts of Tennessee to probably sneak in there a little bit later on. But as Jordan mentioned, let's kind of visit this one in Campbellsville here, and let me switch over to Louisville, since that's a little bit closer and have a little better view of it. So it's coming out of Greene County. It's right around Green River Lake there. It's southwest side of Campbellsville. As far as the rotation, as Jordan mentioned, you can see it here pretty clearly, the red and the green right in that area right there. So it's off to the southeast of Greensburg, southwest of Green River Lake. So it's probably going to move right up over the heart of the lake, maybe just off to the southeast of Campbellsville here. And again, we'll see the potential of that. We'll go back and show you what's going on with the bird's eye view here.
Yeah, they did just issue a severe thunderstorm warning now for that cell we were just tracking east of Corbin.
Okay, we'll go back down there and take a look at that, and switch over to Jackson's radar. That's the thing, having so much ground to cover here. Got to switch radars time to time. Yeah, it's definitely looking a little more organized there. All right, taking you in there.
And it's through 8:30, and also nickel-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts with that.
Yeah, looking at the 1 hour hail, you see right underneath the shear marker there, just to the east of Corbin. So probably beginning to drop some larger hail. Put the reflectivity back on there for you, and then we'll hit the skits data here and give you an idea how it's looking with the hail. So that seems to be increasing a bit. The BTI, the Barron Tornado Index, is fairly low. It's a 3.8, so that's good. But obviously, any of these storms that we have out there have the potential of rotating and possibly producing a tornado. Woolham 802, that's in about 7 minutes. Again, Bush, which is east of London, out where Bush Elementary is, that's at 803, and then running up toward Manchester and Clay County High School, that's at about 10:12 after the top of the hour, and then farther off to the east and northeast, Spring Creek, which is over off to the east. You'll probably eventually see this cell, but there's that warning that goes until 8:30. So this is, of course, one of the stronger cells that we have, where you see the pink shading here. Corbin, you are in the clear. It is more just off to the southeast of London and making a beeline for Manchester. It looks like Burning Springs running up US 421. They're out of Manchester. You're going to end up seeing a little bit relative to some very torrential rain. As far as our velocity data, a little bit of circulation there. You see the green and the red side by side, and of course our skits picking up on that. As far as shear, there is some moderate shear where you see the lighter green. So this is definitely one to watch, and of course we'll be doing that as we head through the next little while here.
And I know we continue to kind of jump around a bit, but I will say that cell there in Harlan County looks like it may have re-strengthened a little bit. The DTI there with that system is now up to a 4.7. It was a little bit lower earlier, just to the east of Cumberland now for that cell. And we just had the warning extended into Pike County now, which is to our east.
Yeah, so we'll zoom in on that there.
And back to an inch size hail as well, quarter size.
So it's right along the Kentucky-Virginia border, of course, and you see, even though our shear marker isn't there, we do have the skits that's still showing up. Whitesburg now, I guess, maybe slowing down slightly. So you're looking at 806, Fleming Neon at 814. As Dylan mentioned, the BTI is up just a touch from where it was a little while ago. We're at about a 4.7. I think the hail is really coming down because we're only looking at about a 40% chance of hail, although there's definitely some aloft where you see that brighter pink there that is off to the east of Cumberland and off to the north of Lynch. So that's really the area of concern right now. East of Cumberland, coming up on Whitesburg, it actually looks like it's probably going to pass by just to your south, because here's Whitesburg right here, got it circled, and again, the potential rotation is going to be right down here, and of course it's going to follow that line right along the border, and probably here's Pound, and that is right across from Jenkins over in southwestern Virginia. So this thing eventually, even though it was extended up into Pike County, it looks like it's kind of turning to the right a little bit, which is a fairly classic signature with these supercell thunderstorms, especially when they're out on their own. So at least good news for Whitesburg. You got some pretty torrential rain and a lot of lightning right now, and I still think we've got a bit of a hail core here in between Whitesburg and Cumberland. But overall, again, the severe threat the hail threat, that is, compared to what we had a little while ago, seems to be down. Again, the BTI kind of hovering at about 4.6, 4.7, and our hail a whole lot less than it was just a little while ago. I think Dylan's calling up a traffic cam.
Yeah, they've moved our typical camera. Yeah. If you watch, especially in the mornings, we show this all the time near Jenkins and Letcher County. They've turned this camera towards the west now, so trying to get a view of anything. Again, not great resolution with this, but you can see some rain starting to come down. You can see also a little bit of low visibility in the distance, suggesting that rainfall rate is starting to pick up a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Just mentioned that the rain was probably coming down pretty heavily in the Whitesburg area, and here's Jenkins up here to the northeast. So as this cell continues to roll off to the east and northeast, that intensity of the rainfall, got some decent lightning strikes in there as well. That's going to begin to pick up also. So again, the tornado warning goes until 8:45 Letcher County, and it does go up into Pike County and of course over into Wise County in southwest Virginia. But with that bit of a turn to the right just a bit, wouldn't be.
I retract it. By the way, Hofstadter, nice job disproving the Chinese team.
It's not a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Cooper, maybe physics just isn't your thing. Have you ever considered a career in retail? That way you could take things back for a living?
Okay, Barry, that's enough.
I know, that's okay. I can fight my own battles. Isn't that right, Barry?
Is that a reference to my speech impediment? That's pretty hurtful. I can't control it.
You're right. That was uncalled for. I take it back.
Of course you do, because you're the retractor!
Raj, this dinner was amazing. If you're here much longer, I'm gonna have to buy bigger clothes.
Nonsense. You need a little fattening up. You've been looking too skinny lately.
Aw. Howie, how come you never say anything sweet like that?
What are you talking about? Remember last week when I asked you if you were wearing Spanx and you weren't? How's that different?
Maybe you could try being more thoughtful like your friend Raj.
Yeah, well, maybe you could try being more like Raj.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he packed me a lunch this morning, and there was a note inside that said, "Go get him."
Like I don't do enough around here, now I need to pack your lunch? And by the way, why do you need a note telling you to go get him? You're a grown man, you should know to go get him.
Camera, if you watch, especially in the mornings, we show this all the time near Jenkins and Letcher County. They've turned this camera towards the west now, so trying to get a view of anything. Again, not great resolution with this, but you can see some rain starting to come down. You can see also a little bit of low visibility in the distance, suggesting that rainfall rate is starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Just mentioned that the rain was probably coming down pretty heavily in the Whitesburg area, and here's Jenkins up here to the northeast. So as this cell continues to roll off to the east and northeast, that intensity of the rainfall, got some decent lightning strikes in there as well. That's going to begin to pick up also. So again, the tornado warning goes until 8:45 Letcher County, and it does go up into Pike County and of course over into Wise County in Southwest Virginia. But with that bit of a turn to the right just a bit, wouldn't be surprised to see this not skip across the border and be out of the way here in just a little while. So you guys got anything relative to...
No, I was mistaken earlier about this about the tornado watch. That was actually Southwest Virginia through 2 a.m. Our county is now all of the ABC 36 viewing area under a tornado watch through 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
This
So
evening.
they basically...
I'm working on putting together a graphic for that right now.
So earlier during the newscast, we were talking about how Southern Kentucky went until 8 o'clock, which it is right now. And with that tornado threat still there, until that frontal boundary gets through here, the Storm Prediction Center, National Weather Service has just basically evened things up to where the tornado watch is going to be uniform now for all of central and eastern Kentucky, and that is going to go until 10 o'clock. So we've got another couple of hours. So here's the view of the entire area. Looks like a line of storms essentially from northern Kentucky stretching right down through Bardstown. We got that cell that Jordan pointed out there over Taylor County, Green River Lake. That's moving off to the northeast. Again, Lexington here, we've kind of been caught in the middle, and that's not the first time that's happened. Yeah, we've had some activity, and of course, we had that earlier this morning, but here's what's going on in the metro area. Heavy rain here in Lexington. Now this cell here around Frankfort, just to the southwest, you see that darker shading. That's usually an indication that we got a little bit of hail with that, so it could be spiking up. I'll take a little closer look at that one. We'll switch over to Louisville's radar. That gives us a little better view as far as the 1 hour hail on that. So you see our hail tracker is showing that this has the possibility of producing some larger hail. So here's our skits data, and you see the hail size, about 3/4 inch hail. Out of that, again, some of the areas affected in the capital city, Western Hills, Cap City Airport, the state capitol, Kentucky State University. This is going to come rolling your way here within the next 5 minutes or so, and then eventually over toward Georgetown. So this thing, again, it's more of the potential of some strong winds and maybe upwards of quarter-sized hail. So this will be a cell that we'll need to watch as well. Got a lot of heavy rain here in Stamping Ground and running up along the interstate right around Sadieville and then up into parts of Harrison County. But let's take you down to the southwest here while we got Louisville's radar up and check on that cell. Well, you see some stronger storm there, a lot of heavy rain on the west side of Bardstown, and then you skip over the Bluegrass Parkway, Elizabethtown, and then the cell that's down here. Where is it here? There's Mumfordville, and it's farther to the east here. Move it over. There we go. So Green River, there is Campbellsville, and we're not seeing our skids data or shear marker, which again is definitely a good thing. But as far as any rotation in that, still see a little bit there. It's right over Green River Lake here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit closer to that. So now it's elevated because remember the radar is up in Louisville. And the radar's at the ground, the beam's aloft, so it's shooting relatively high up in the storm. But here, Green River Lake and around the Yuma area, right in this area, that's where we've got probably some broad rotation aloft, and just something to keep in mind. There is no warning out for that cell, but it has been holding its own over the course of the last, what, Jordan, half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind as this eventually moves off to the northeast and gets up into the Bluegrass region.
If they want to go ahead and pop up links to, we can show you at the moment where the tornado watch is now in effect for all of the ABC 36 viewing area through 10 o'clock tonight. So our hazards still remain for all of our immediate viewing area. We only have the two warnings right now, the tornado warning for Harlan County, it's going to be in Letcher County, and then also that severe thunderstorm warning east of Corbin getting ready to move into Clay County. But everyone still has that severe weather threat. No one is out of the woods yet in terms of any severe or tornadic potential through the remainder of the evening hours. That tornado watch in eastern Kentucky was supposed to expire at 8 o'clock, but has now been allowed to continue through 10 o'clock this evening.
I'm just kind of wondering, looking at the radar, especially southern Kentucky, it's been worked over pretty good. Hopefully that will aid in keeping these things, you know, below severe levels. And, all this that we've got across the area, it may eventually congeal into a line, especially just what we've got there west of Lexington, back toward Louisville, Bluegrass Parkway, and down to the southwest. That's as that front begins to nose in a little bit more.
Yeah, if they want to take us back on links 1 to get a better view of some of these storms, the two warnings that we were talking about there to the south and the east.
Yep, so we got severe thunderstorm warning down here, which has now moved into Clay County. Still watching the cell here over extreme southeastern Letcher County. We'll just kind of revisit that again. I think that thing's going to just kind of ride the border here. Like literally, here's the state line. There's Jenkins on the Kentucky side, Pound in Southwest Virginia, and Wise County. As I mentioned, the potential rotation and what prompted the tornado warning, it looked like it was going to pass to the south of Whitesburg, and that's exactly how things are playing out right now. As far as the rotation, doesn't look as, I guess, tight, or it's not jumping out as much as it was, say, a little while ago. So that's always a good thing. And again, it could be definitely could be cycling, but the overall reflectivity, it's not as big as it was a little while ago. And to indicate that, look at the BTI, it's down to a 2.6. It had spiked up to, what was it, Dylan, 4.6, 4.7?
Yeah, that was as high as it was near the Cumberland area.
So this thing may be losing its punch a little bit, which is good news. Fleming Neon 821, Pound, which again is over into Wise County in Southwest Virginia, Jenkins right on the border, and of course Clintwood, that as well is over into parts of Southwest Virginia. But
still no real update from the National Weather Service on either of the two warnings.
And you see the hail trail here back to the southwest. Obviously, it has become less and less compared to what it was over the last hour. I mean, back down here toward Everett, look how look how intense the hail was, Harlan, Wallens Creek, and that was probably about an hour or so ago as that moved on through. So it definitely is weakening between the BTI going down and, of course, the hail core going away as well. So here's our current severe thunderstorm warning that we've got for Clay County and then running over into Leslie County as well. Right on top of Manchester, up toward Clay County High School, points to the south. London, you're in the clear for now. There's another cluster of storms just west of you and also to the south of Mount Vernon, southwestern parts of Rockcastle County. But this cell, again, has the potential of producing some winds 60 plus. Again, with this kind of environment, they could be stronger than that, along with some hail. So this thing is right over Manchester and then running up toward Burning Springs.
The southern edge of that storm has some very broad, but still some rotation with. You can see the little appendage sticking out there.
Good point. So let's take a look at that.
That's worth watching, definitely.
Yeah, it's right here in this area here, as Jordan was pointing out. It's off to the south. It's right here in this area. It's that little area where the reds and the greens are together. And so that will bear watching because, again, any of these cells that we have out there tonight, given the environment and all the ingredients that we have in place, can potentially spin up a tornado at any point. Looking at the base velocity, it's not jumping out as much, but it definitely, let's take a look at the shear here and see, yeah, it's got a little bit of moderate shear with it. So it's this area south of Manchester and eventually over toward Hyden. So Burning Springs, Manchester, right along the Hal Rogers Parkway over to Hyden. You're under the severe thunderstorm warning. That goes until 8:30, so we got about another 20 minutes on that as that cell continues to move off to the east here. So we'll definitely watch that, especially given that broad rotation. And as Jordan mentioned there, that little appendage there, a little bit of a notch just right down here on the tail end of it with the reflectivity right down here. That's something to keep an eye on as we go through the next little while. Any update on that, on the tornado warning?
No update on the tornado warning. We, again, just looking at, it doesn't really have a good view from any radar, but that storm getting ready to move into Casey County that you were tracking just to the east of Campbellsville still has a little bit of a notch on the southern side of it. You'd been mentioning that we've had storms kind of killing out the severe weather threat for a lot of different areas, but that's an area that hasn't really been worked over too much in the last few hours.
Yeah, let's take a look at that there, because there's Casey County. It's this one right
here.
The
lightning has upticked as well, so it's a little indication it's getting a little stronger.
So here's Liberty. It's moving into the western part of Casey County as far as the velocity data is concerned. Yeah, it's definitely got some rotation, as the guys were indicating there. It's right here in this area, the reds and the greens together. It's west of Liberty in Casey County. It's moving eastward. There's no warning on this, but obviously it definitely bears watching. Looking at the rotation detector here, now see that spot right there? That is in the red, which indicates a little bit of stronger rotation. And as Jordan mentioned, we've got the lightning really beginning to pick up. So this could be one that bears watching, and we definitely will. I'm going to broaden out a little bit here and put a storm track on it, because these for the most part are moving off to the northeast. So we'll I'll put a little storm track on this just to give folks an idea of what we're dealing with. So moving off to the northeast here, some of the communities affected up toward, say, Houstonville, north of Liberty. That'll be within the hour or so. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're in, say, southern Lincoln County, and definitely Liberty and Casey County and the northern part of Casey County. This cell, intense rainfall, some hail possible, but also it is showing some signs of rotation. So this is going to be one to watch as we go through the next hour or so here. And again, the rest of the area, I mean, it's just kind of a scattering of showers and storms here and there up toward Bryantsville, Camp Nelson, basically essentially from southeast of Nicholasville, there right along the Garrett, Jessamine and Madison County line. Probably a bit of hail there just off to the northwest of Kirksville, and then over into Mercer County here, right down US 127, right over McAfee there. Salvisa, it's south of you. Harrodsburg, it is north of you. Rain, don't have a whole lot of lightning with this. And again, here in Lexington, we just continue to see just some occasional storms from time to time over the last couple of hours really here. So as we kind of broaden things out, you get a better view with the Louisville radar of what is becoming the main line of thunderstorms that I think will be the last of it, but it's got a lot of ground to cover here as we go through the next little while. And right on cue, our skits data is
starting to
picking
pop up. Yep.
Is picking up on that rotation. So,
and a BTI of 4 now.
So there you go. Right at 4, the Barron Tornado Index, it's up to a 4. So it is showing the rotation. Not overly concerned with the potential for hail, although we could see some P upwards of dime size. But
just issued a severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, so there'll be a severe thunderstorm warning box popping in here. So some of the areas that'll be affected by this here in the short term. Liberty at 8:23 here, in about 8 minutes. Yosemite coming up toward the bottom of the hour at 8:28. Houstonville, which is in southern Lincoln County, that's at 8:30. Waynesburg, same story at 8:35. Stanford and Lincoln County at 8:39, as well as Lincoln County High School, which of course is just to the south of Stanford here. But there's Houstonville, there's Liberty, Yosemite. So I think
they did also give it a tornado possible tag.
And there again is a reason for that. And we'll have to see if the shear marker begins to pick up on this and really watch that BTI. That Barron Tornado Index, because that's a concern with the environment. Any of these cells, and this one's out on its own, and that's why it's a little bit more concerning, because it has the entire environment to feed off of. And when you get these lone cells out there, you can get the rotation with the setup that we've got out there tonight. So that's why we're kind of staying on and hanging in here. But here is the broad view. And while the activity is scattered, some of these are fairly intense. You can really see it nicely there with the one right there into Casey County. But here's the northern extent of that line, that cell that produced the confirmed tornado in southern Ohio. There's still a tornado warning out on it, so it is holding its own. And farther to the east and northeast, we've got some pretty intense rainfall here coming up on Georgetown, in fact.
Also, just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Rowan County. It's eastern Rowan County for the threat of 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail.
All right, let's go to Jackson's radar here. We'll take a look at that. It's right over here. So new severe thunderstorm warning for folks in Moorhead. You dealt with it this morning, of course, with that squall line that moved here in through the Lexington area. You see, it's basically on the north side of Moorhead, northern Rowan County, and as Dylan mentioned, the potential of some very, very strong, damaging winds. I think we got a little bit of a hail core here running up north of Moorhead. So that severe thunderstorm warning again until 8:30 there for Rowan County for wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. Take a look at the hail potential. Not much, although it looks like there's a little bit of a hail core as far as the shear. There is some moderate shear with this in the center of that cell. The velocity, again, which shows us what the winds are doing relative to the radar site, toward the radar in green, away from the radar in red. Again, you get those side by side here, and it's this area right here off to the north of Moorhead, right here in this area. That's what we'll keep an eye on, at least for the potential of any spin up. But just in and of itself, this thing's going to kick out wind gusts, again, in excess of 60 miles per hour, as Dylan mentioned. So,
and I will say, of all of our storms as well, going back to that Casey County storm, it by far, outside of the main line of storms, has the most lightning associated with it, showing that it still is, again, as you mentioned, kind of using a lot of that energy that is surrounding the storm.
Well, there's nothing around it. And it's out on its own. Switching over here to Louisville, looks like another severe thunderstorm warning out of our viewing area, but it just shows that these cells, but you see it here. Here's the main line that we're going to catch just ahead of the frontal boundary. And it's these individual cells that are out ahead of it. Remember, Dylan, we were talking earlier this afternoon. Our Futurecast is actually picking up on that potential. And honestly, folks, in the last 24 hours, all that we've been talking about is the concern for these individual cells out ahead of the main line of storms as we got into Tuesday evening, and here we are. So, you know, this is a cell that we're concerned with more than anything right now because that is showing signs of rotation. Again, our skit marker is on it. So here's Liberty, the county seat of Casey County. And as far as the BTI, it's still holding right around a 4. It's up, you know, a couple of tenths there at 4.2. The possibility of hail, about a 90% shot, 30% on the severe hail. So it's over toward Yosemite here within 15 minutes, Houstonville at 8:37, Stanford, and of course Lincoln County High School. That's coming up at about 8:47. So that's going to be within about the next 25 minutes or so. So let me clear this off and we'll...
Looking at Jackson's radar at that system, again, it's looking from a different angle. It may suggest, looking at the velocities, that it does have a little bit of a tighter circulation just to the north of Liberty with that cell.
We will do that. Let's take a look and switch over, and then we will move down here and take a look. Yeah, it definitely seems to have a little bit...
The inflow looks pretty strong, looking at it like a, you know, over... Again, this is based on the radar height from Jackson, which is pretty high, but it's showing inflow winds over 80 miles an hour potentially.
So Liberty, you're good. It's going to pass by to your north here, but areas up toward Houstonville, which again is in the southwestern part of Lincoln County, and then up toward Stanford, over toward Crab Orchard, Waynesburg, you've got some thunderstorms, but you see that pink there. That's probably some larger hail. But let's check the velocity on it, and you see the green and the red there side by side. Again, that's what you're looking at. As Dylan mentioned, radar's at the ground, beams shooting up, so this is probably a loft, but it's some elevated rotation, and in this environment, it easily could make it down to the ground. And looking at our rotation detector, that's why we got to watch this thing. You see the red, and that's indicating a little bit of stronger rotation within this cell that is just off to the north of Liberty. So you see down the line here, there's Houstonville, there's Crab Orchard, there's Stanford, the county seat in Lincoln County, Waynesburg. You're not in the severe thunderstorm warning. And remember, as the guys alluded to, it's a severe thunderstorm warning with a possible tornado tag, and the Weather Service does this when these cells have the potential of possibly producing a tornado rather quickly. And this thing really seems to be pulsing up over the last, 10, 15 minutes or so?
No, absolutely. As soon as it's really entered Casey County, it has strength. And I was looking at the rainfall from the past 12 hours. Southern Casey County is basically, outside of one round of rain, has been dry into those areas as well through most of the day.
So really right now, our skit has the cell going off to the northwest of Stanford, while ironically the severe thunderstorm warning stretches down toward Crab Orchard. So we'll see if it remains on that path. But taking a look at, again, some of the timing here, we're still at a 4.2 on the BTI. I think the hail potential is coming up. Hail potential 90%, 50-50 shot of severe hail, and the hail size could be, say, upwards of quarter size. And on the reflectivity in these types of setups, when you see that brighter pink, that's usually an indication that we've got some hail, or we will be getting some hail out of it. So Houstonville, 833, updated there. Stanford, 843, Lincoln County High, and then up toward Crab Orchard, and then Lancaster, which is in Garrett County. So that's bringing it a little bit farther to the north here. So, of course, this is going to be a cell that is definitely going to bear watching here as we go through the next little while. We've still got about 25 minutes to go on the severe thunderstorm warning. Has the Weather Service said anything?
No, I just asked. I just sent a message in the National Weather Service chat asking about it. It looks like the latest scan, maybe not quite as tight of rotation as what we were originally just seeing, but certainly continuing worth monitoring.
There's your shear back to the west over the last hour. Your current shear now, and as Dylan pointed out, if you remember, I showed you this, 2 minutes ago, and it had the tinge of red in there, so the rotation may not be as strong, but again, these things kind of cycle.
And it's not like it's close to a radar, right? I mean, it's far away from a radar site.
It definitely is. That's a great point. So looking at the velocity, you still see a little bit there, especially with the storm relative, that shows a lot better. So that's an area. Better safe than sorry. Obviously, you want to keep abreast of things here. Houstonville, Stanford, Crab Orchard, up toward Lancaster as well. So this is really kind of the cell front and center. I think we need to kind of keep an eye on here over the next little while.
Yeah, and if you want to throw up links to just what I've got kind of shown here, kind of circling where we're seeing the potential for some rotation, and I want to turn this over to a potential maybe some debris getting aloft. Again, it's still really far from the radar site, not what I would call a debris signature by any means, but still it lines up with right where we're seeing that wind shear and that rotation being detected.
No, absolutely. And again, with it being out on its own, that's why it's a little bit more concerning and much more problematic, because now, if it merges with some of these cells out to the east, you know, that could up the ante a little bit, because sometimes you'll get these things intensifying as they merge. But the fact that it's out on its own, and there's really, especially on the south and southeast side, we've got that southerly wind, 20-25 miles per hour, gusting more than that. And aloft, it's just pumping all that warm, moist air into the storm. So it has nothing to impede its strengthening whatsoever. So that's why this cell, more than any of the others that we've got around, I think is kind of front and center of what we need to kind of keep an eye on.
And Lincoln County now, this is getting ready to move across Casey County through the east into the far western portions of Lincoln County, and moving right over top. The circulation would be moving right over top of 127 here within minutes.
So here's kind of the big picture of everything right now. The frontal boundary is rapidly moving eastward, and here is what may end up being the main line of storms. Now, we could see some a little bit farther to the west. I don't know how the regional is looking. I know that the front is making some progress eastward. We're getting a little deeper into the evening as we approach 8:30. So it looks like everything's lining up here just ahead of the front for this squall line of storms to move eastward. We've got several severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got one up in northeastern Kentucky, probably Carter, Greenup, parts of Boyd County. We have the one down in Leslie County. Looks like the little small part of Perry County around Buckhorn Lake. And then we have this main cell, a lot of lightning with it. This is the one that we're watching. You got some heavier rain down towards Somerset. And then you see off to the southwest, this cell here. And it's it looks weaker on radar because, again, Jackson's radar is a long way away, and it's got a lot to punch through to get to it. If we looked at it from Louisville's radar, it would be much more intense. But you see, even way far away, that line of storms is trailing all the way down into western Tennessee. So while we're starting to kind of see maybe the light at the end of the tunnel, we got a ways to go because we got to get this thing all the way through. So it's definitely going to be late evening into the early hours, especially out into eastern Kentucky, before we are clear of the risk completely. So wanted to, again, kind of give you the bigger picture of what we're seeing right now. So this thing's moving along pretty quickly as well.
Yes.
It's already coming up on Houstonville. So our updated track, we're at a 4.0 on the BTI, so it's holding sway there. Not much change, maybe down a little bit on the severe hail potential. But it is moving along at a fairly good clip. Houstonville, it's essentially, at least the heart of it, the core, where you may be seeing, say, some dime-sized hail. That's going to be coming your way here in about 2-3 minutes. Stanford and Lincoln County High School at 8:42. Crab Orchard here. I think you'll probably catch part of it, and then up toward Lancaster and Garrett County. So this thing eventually, if it holds together, it's going to roll right through the heart of Lincoln County, including Stanford, and then over toward Berea, Kirksville, and even toward Richmond as it moves off to the northeast primarily. So that's the one that, again, we're really going to kind of keep an eye on here in the short term. Let me call up the velocity data and see.
Did just get a report of some storm damage in Whitley County, another report from a storm that moved through earlier this evening. Just wanted to relay that to you as well. And the National Weather Service office in Louisville is now saying that the rotation is broadening a little bit. And again, this severe thunderstorm warning has had the tornado possible tag with it, which is, we definitely agree with that decision to continue to keep
and you see here with the rotation tracker as we zoom in pretty close here, it's just right here in this area. There's Houstonville, and then over in some of the smaller other communities, you got McKinney, you've got New Salem, you got Jumbo, and all that again is moving off to the northeast here. It does, as Dylan mentioned, have that possible tornado tag, but the reflectivity still showing some right over the Houstonville area, but the radar again is shooting fairly high up into this thing. So it's just something to keep an eye on. And we do have the hail threat, because right over Houstonville, that pink with the reflectivity here, that's a pretty good indication that we've got at least some small hail coming out of this, in addition to the chance for some damaging wind gusts. Looking at southern Kentucky, you see some additional activity, and let's head up here into the Lexington area, kind of see what's going on here in the Bluegrass. Lexington, we've got some heavier rain running right through the center of town. It looks like, at least on the south side of town. Got some. You're definitely hearing some heavy rain. Basically, right around New Circle Road, out Harrodsburg Road, out Nicholasville Road, Tates Creek, and even over here at the ABC 36 studios, we're beginning to hear some of the heavier downpours, maybe some small hail. Again, nothing in the way of severe weather here in the Bluegrass. Of course, we had that a little bit earlier this morning. And then back to the west, some pretty intense storms. Think we've got some hail there off to the southwest of Lawrenceburg, just running right along and north of the Bluegrass Parkway, and then again just kind of a scattering of showers and thunderstorms off to the south and off to the southeast of Lexington. But here's your front and center cell that is most intense of everything that we've got out there tonight, and that is over Houstonville and heading towards Stanford there in Lincoln County. Again, that warning, it goes until 8:45, so we got about another 13 minutes or so. Be interested to see. I'm sure they'll probably extend that. So next in line with this, of course, would be Garrett County, and then eventually into Madison County. So if they extend this, I think they're probably eventually going to move it up here to include Richmond, Berea, obviously Kirksville there, the western part of Madison County. But it is definitely producing some very heavy rain, the potential of some damaging winds, and still looking at the possible rotation with that. So we zoom in here just a little bit closer and give you an update, see how things are going. So Houstonville, the heaviest part of this, it is just off to your east. As far as the rotation, still got some broad rotation. Looking at our rotation detector, it's not as uniform and is not as strong as it was, say, a little while ago. So it may be cycling just a bit.
And it looks like it's also interacting more, like you had mentioned earlier, with some of the cells out ahead of it there. Eastern Lincoln County towards the Crab Orchard area has some rain falling outside of the main cell.
Well, and you see the 1 hour hail, it's not consistent, but that's an indication that it has been dropping a little bit of hail across the area. So anything from the Weather Service, et cetera?
No, just again, they were going to continue the tornado possible tag with that. No other updates. They did expire that tornado warning in Letcher County as well that we were tracking earlier.
All right, so since we're at about 8:35 here, and we don't have any tornado warnings, we're going to go ahead and take a little break, regroup here, get everything together. Of course, we will cut back in if we've got any severe or any tornado warnings, of course, or anything that, of course, warrants it. But again, don't let your guard down the remainder of the evening. Even though we're definitely increasing the coverage around the area, we still have to get the frontal boundary through here, and at any point, we could see one of these cells drop a possible tornado. We're under that tornado watch, again, as Dylan mentioned several times, until 10 o'clock for all of central and eastern Kentucky. So we're going to take it back to regular programming. And, of course, we'll have an update on My Kentucky at 10, and, of course, on ABC 36 coming up at 11. For meteorologist Dylan Goday and meteorologist Jordan Smith, I'm Chief Meteorologist T.G. Shuck, ABC 36 Weather.
Layoff.
Requesting full company 19.
Hey, look at that! You're a danger to all of us.
Say it again!
I'm trying to save your job!
Proven to reduce the risk of kidney.
And welcome back, meteorologist Dylan Goday here. We just sent it back to regularly scheduled programming, but now we're back with another tornado warning, this time once again for Harlan County. And if you're in the Harlan area, this storm, the part of the storm that could result in a tornado, radar indicated tornado warning, but the part of the storm that could have that rotation is to the south and west of the Harlan area, almost taking a very similar track, at least at this part of the storm, as the tornado warning storm that just moved through Harlan County as well. But this warning does include southern Leslie County and far eastern Bell County as well. But the storm itself is now crossing over Bell County into the Harlan County area. You can almost see the notch there. It looks almost like a comma. We've got some hail on the northeast side of the cell, and then that rotations to the south and the southwest of that. And that warning is through 9:15 this evening. So if you're in the Harlan area especially, or just to the north and the west of town, now's the time to get in your tornado safe shelter. You might have just gotten out of that shelter with the warning that just passed through your area, but now we are dealing with the signs of rotation once again. Just a little bit of lightning with this system, but you can see the pink there, and you also see the National Weather Service has trimmed Bell County now out of this warning. So it's traveling off towards the east-northeast at a pretty good clip, likely going to move just to the north and maybe the northwest of the downtown Harlan area, but it is moving off towards the east-northeast at a pretty fast speed. The first storm has really weakened as it's moved off towards the north and the east. I think this cell to the west is definitely taking a lot of the energy from that system. So we're going to continue to track this for you. Looking at the storm winds, you can see where that rotation is pretty well defined to the south and the west of Harlan. I have meteorologist Jordan Smith helping me switch between our different products here, but you can definitely see that rotation. It is tightening up some of the tighter rotation that we've seen in any of these storms in our local area, especially with the latest radar scan there. When you're starting to see those reds and the greens very close to each other. That would signify that there is rotating winds within that system. And it's moving off towards the east-northeast, giving you some points now. So the Wallens Creek area right on top of you right now. Longton, that is going to be moving in here within the next couple of minutes, within the next 5 minutes. Harlan, just to the north and the west of you by 8:52. And then as you head towards northeast Harlan County, a little bit closer to 9:04. Is the National Weather Service saying anything with this cell there, Jordan, as we take a look at that on the storm winds? So we're not seeing, we haven't gotten any reports from this. This is still just radar indicated, but you can definitely see that rotation, and it's going to continue to move off towards the north and the east. Jordan, if you could draw on that and circle that area rotation for us so that the viewers at home could see where we're talking about in terms of circling it almost where my fist is. That's where you could see that rotation, and it's right in the center of that tornado warning, moving off towards the east-northeast. And this is obviously mountainous terrain, so you're not going to be able to see this. It's dark outside now. You're not going to be able to get a good visual of this, and you shouldn't anyways. You should be getting into your tornado safe area, and that would lead to, there we go. We've got that area rotation circled, moving off towards the east-northeast. That's giving you an estimated look at where we could be seeing where the rotation could result in that circulating system in a tornado moving off towards the east-northeast. You have the speed on this storm, Jordan?
It's moving at 50 miles an hour.
50 miles an hour, so at a pretty fast clip, getting through mountainous terrain, making it very difficult to see, traveling over the northwest side of Harlan, almost right through the valley, very similar to the path right along 119 that the previous tornado warned storm just took around 20-30 minutes ago there into Harlan and Letcher counties. Didn't have any reports of damage with that. Haven't received any from this as well, but I'd say this one showing a little bit better signs of some rotation with this rotating winds at height could result into a funnel cloud and eventually a tornado. We have had confirmed tornadoes across our viewing area today, including one in Anderson County, an EF1 with 95 miles per hour winds. That was early this morning. And then also in Jessamine County at the industrial complex there just to the north of Nicholasville. That was an EF1 tornado with 115 mile per hour winds. Since then, for our immediate viewing area, we've had no confirmed tornadoes, and big reason for that is the surveying teams haven't had time to get to all these cells, especially from the early morning hours that we dealt with the potential for some quick spin-up tornadoes. And we did have a severe thunderstorm warning in Lincoln County, but looks like that's been allowed to expire. The one lone cell that we are tracking would be towards the Harlan area into Harlan County, which is just to our south and our east, but we do have some viewers that tune into us there in the Harlan County, Harlan area. So if you're one of those, we're going to help you get to safety. And if you're in the far southern Leslie County as well, don't take this lightly either. You are included within this tornado warning polygon, that red box there, that red polygon, that is the tornado warning. Southern Leslie County is included within that, and that's likely where we are seeing the heaviest of the rain and maybe even a potential for nickel to quarter-size hail on that northern side of the system. And this is taking more of a northeasterly trajectory as well, as opposed to the one earlier that took more of an east, maybe east-northeast with a little bit of a northerly turn there towards the end as it was moving into Letcher County. This one more towards the east-northeast, potentially impacting then southern Leslie County. Still no updates from the National Weather Service, Jordan?
Still nothing.
Still nothing. And again, we're looking at Jackson's radar, so still a little bit of a ways away from this system, and we're not looking exactly at the surface. Obviously, it's in the valley right now in Harlan, so wouldn't have a good look even if the radar was just over the mountain. But you still get the picture that this is looking at this storm at a beam height from that radar beam. But still, you are seeing that rotational aloft that could result in a rotating wind at the surface, leading to that tornado formation. And the line of storms is now moving through the Louisville area. And once that entire system, as we take a broad look at the radar, once this back edge of the storms pushes through, our severe weather threat is drastically going to decrease. So we're almost out of this for a lot of areas. If you're north and west of that white line that meteorologist Jordan Smith just drew, Louisville westward, your severe weather threat is done, then we're going to be talking about chilly rain showers and maybe even some snowflakes by the time Thursday morning gets here. So we're almost there. We're almost out of this. A lot of this has turned into just moderate to heavy rain showers and storms along the main line, which is good news because that really decreases any severe thunderstorm threat. We're still not tracking any severe thunderstorm warnings, but a lot of locally heavy downpours and maybe a little bit of rotation. Good spot there. Jordan, this is a system that did have a severe thunderstorm warning for Casey County, moved into Lincoln County, now getting ready to move into Gary County, just south of the Lancaster area, and we're continuing to track possibly some broad rotation within that system as well. But the National Weather Service office has expired that warning, so maybe not seeing quite as much of tight rotation. But our rotation detector is picking up at least some moderate rotation with that system to the south of Lancaster, moving into Garrett County. Did anyone say in the chat anything about that? The National Weather Service chat where we can communicate with them? No. So we'll keep you monitored on that. Could get a severe thunderstorm warning with that. We saw that prompted earlier. You see that rotation now basically right over top of Harlan. Once again, kind of crazy how this is literally traveling through the valley there in central Harlan County, the part of the storm that you could be seeing those rotating winds. So moving off towards the east-northeast, 55 miles per hour, southern Leslie County, you're included within this. Most of central Harlan County included within this as well. Moving off to the east-northeast at 55 miles per hour, so you can extend it a little bit even further than that, Jordan, once you get that 55 mile per hour. There we go, a little bit further, and you can get, so Cumberland around 9:14. That's when it's going to be moving into your area. Leatherwood around 9:04. So some of the communities that could be impacted with this system as it moves off towards the east-northeast. Tornado warning in effect through 9:15, correct, Jordan? That's when Leatherwood, you're outside of the warning itself, but still same with Cumberland. But those are the areas we're watching as the storm continues to move in the general direction that it is now. There's that rotation as well, just to the north and the west of the Harlan area. If you have any damage reports to you, specifically, if you're tuned in, Casey County, that's an area that we saw a strong storm, a severe thunderstorm with a tornado possible signature on it. That moved through within the last 30 minutes. We definitely saw a lot of rotation within that system. We're seeing rotation, tight, strong rotation with this system, this storm moving through the Harlan County area, and we'd love to get you back to your programming, but again, this is a tornado warning on the far southeastern edge of our viewing area into Harlan County. Once this expires, that's when we can send you back, and then meteorologist Jordan Smith and Chief Meteorologist T.G. Shuck will have a full update on all of the conditions across the region coming up on My Kentucky at 10 o'clock. If you want to tune in to them there. A lot of widespread rain, non-severe storms though, so that is some good news across the region at the moment. We're just tracking that one lone warning, and there's the one cell that we've been tracking with the possibility. Again, that's broad rotation into Garrett County, but still something we're watching. There could be enough winds getting down to the surface where you could see the potential for some damage with that system as it's moving off towards the east-northeast. And it's not going to be long before it's going to be making its way to the I-75 corridor, maybe the Kirksville area as well. But definitely that's a cell we've been watching for around an hour now as well. Any updates from National Weather Service or anything, Jordan?
I haven't seen anything, no.
Yeah, no updates as of yet. But with it getting close to into 8 o'clock here, almost 9 o'clock, this is now to the north of Harlan, so it's moving at a pretty fast clip. Again, this warning's through 9:15, and it's almost over halfway through the warning time frame for Harlan County, for the Harlan area in Harlan County as well. I want to send it back over to the rotation, Jordan, see if we can see any potential. Yeah, it's broadening out a lot. Wouldn't you agree with that, Jordan?
Yes,
as well. Sure. Not quite as tight of a circulation as we were seeing earlier, but it's just to the north, almost the exact same spot the storm was around 45 minutes ago in Harlan, dealing with the same thing. And our rotation detector, almost the same exact spot as what it was earlier. So definitely an area. If you didn't get damage earlier with the storm that moved through, you could be getting at least some wind damage with this system as well. But there are rotating winds, could result in a tornado if you are in the Harlan, Kentucky area.
Just got a report in out of Casey County of trees down on Highway 906.
Highway 906 in Casey County, likely from that storm that moved through earlier. We gave you some advanced warning on that before it was severe thunderstorm warning. It's severe thunderstorm warned. So again, getting some damage reports to confirm what we were seeing there with some strong winds at least, and maybe some rotation. So that might be something the National Weather Service will be taking a look at in terms of potentially if it was of the tornadic variety or just straight line winds. But with the rotation that we saw, who knows with what that was dealing with. Franklin County and Frankfort, you were the first areas I was on earlier this morning on Good Morning Kentucky, a long time ago now. You dealt with the storms before anyone else across our viewing area. You're now starting to be on the back edge of this. So almost the all clear for our friends in the capital city. Lawrenceburg, you've dealt with the brunt of these storms as well. Got a lot of lightning, some heavy rain, maybe some hail, but you're almost in the clear with this line of storms as it pushes through. Once you're on the back edge of that line, you'll continue to see some improving conditions in your area. You even head to all of the I-65 corridor now, seeing some improvement and going to continue to deal with some improvement throughout the remainder of the evening.
Going back to earlier this evening, we got word that the National Guard has been called into the Prospect area there up in northwest Kentucky to help access the damage, clean up, and help people find shelter.
Yeah, that was one of the confirmed tornadoes.
Significant damage up there.
To our north and our west. But yeah, that we saw it on radar. We saw the confirmed tornado. We saw the very tight rotation signature. Could have even resulted in some wind damage for some of our far northern counties, like Owen County near the Owenton area, on location that could have seen some damage from that system. Still no other warnings outside of that cell into Harlan County. Looking at some of those systems, that system we were tracking in Lincoln County, not seeing quite as much rotation with that. Some weak rotation, broad rotation to the north and the east of Harlan, and still have that tornado warning out through 9:15, almost 9 o'clock now, and that rotation's really weakened. So I think we're going to go ahead, and I know you missed almost the entirety of the show. It's on here at 8 o'clock on ABC 36, but we're going to send you back for the end of that. If we get any new warnings popping up, anything that we need to let you know about, we will get that to you as quickly as we can. You can stay with the ABC 36 weather team for more updates.